on My Media Prime TV with me, Kum Leonard, as our host. This evening we're going to be looking at two key subjects touching on Cameroon's security and political life. Firstly, we're going to be looking at the decision by FSNC party not to run for the 2026 twin elections, municipal and legislative elections, raising so much dust amongst the political class in Cameroon. We're going to be answering the question as to whether this is a wise decision or a political blunder by the FSNC party. Secondly, we're going to be looking at the tragic Gidado and killings, once again raising the security challenges facing the population living in the southwest and northwest regions. What needs to be done by the Cameroon government, civil society, the media, amongst other stakeholders, to make sure that we do not leave a repeat of such killings in these conflict-stricken regions. We are going to be discussing on this with our panelists who are with me in the studio. We have Dr. Micheal Ndimancu, who is a member of Cameroon Civil Society and a lecturer with some universities in Cameroon. Good evening, Doctor. We're glad to have you.
It's a pleasure, Sekou. Pleasure to be here this evening, especially on this beginning of the week, and to say hi to all those who matter, of course, in the life of Cameroon. Cameroon is going through some trials, of course, just as any other country, and I enjoin the youth particularly to be those who bring about positive revolution and not radicalization, and that at this point in time we are all witnesses to what is happening, that sometimes when we follow people sheepishly, we should always think ahead about the possible outcomes of what may happen. We need to educate the youth of Cameroon to actually be aware of what politics is, and not the politics of euphoria, but the politics that yields fruit, the politics that is concrete, the politics that brings a positive future to Cameroon, and not the politics of the belly. So I think that it is an important discussion for us to have this evening as far as the political life of Cameroon is concerned. I greet all the people of Noni and all the fonts, and I say hi to all the good loving people who are in for development and the whole of the Republic of Cameroon. Good evening, Mr. Kum.
Tah Javis is also in the studio with us. He's sitting in for Barrister Akwen, who just informed us that she will not be able to make it. Good evening, Tah. We're glad to have you.
Good evening, Mr. Kum. Good evening, Dr. Micheal Ndimancu, and the rest of the panelists whom will soon be introduced. Special good evening to the political stakeholders of our country. I'm talking about those who are trying to make sure that they represent the nation in their respective fold. And good evening to the Bishop of Boya, His Lordship Michael Bibi, and the peace-loving people of Cameroon and those beyond. Good evening, Senegal. Good evening, Morocco. And good evening to the President of CAF. And, of course, good evening to Gianni Infantino.
Okay, you did not greet the president of FECAFOOD?
No, the president of FECAFOOD is a magnificent president. I want to say good evening, Samuel Tofis.
Good evening to you, Prince Mokage, who is also part of tonight's edition of the program. We're glad to have you.
Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to everybody who is watching My Media Prime Television, and most particularly Prime R. Special good evening to the peace-loving people of Mr. J subdivision, the land of milk and honey, where everything comes from that beautiful land, and of course to its illustrious Professor Fukalistus Gentry, Minister of Mines, Industry and Technological Development, who is a catalyst of development in that part of the country, and of course to my own father, His Royal Highness Fon Thomas Kimbose, and to everybody who is watching this program. It's always a privilege to be here.
Yeah, Emmanuel is also part of tonight's edition of the program. We're glad to have you once again.
Good evening to fellow panelists who are here today, especially my senior man, Shay, Doctor. It's been a while. Happy New Year to you. Good evening to all. Good evening to the Noni community, especially those in company watching this program live. It's another opportunity for us to talk about Cameroon, to talk about our nation, and to encourage the youth, we the youth, that the Cameroon of today, as President Pobia says, belongs to us, and we need to do everything to protect it. And a special greetings to the fun of Mbin, God Palace in Noni, the fun of Jotin, Nancy Palace, the fun of Dom, the fun of Lassen, the fun of Mbin, in fact, all the Noni funds. God should continue inspiring you to rule Noni in a special way. And again, the special greetings to the Lord Mayor of Nkor Council, Dr. Ndimancu Micheal, who is doing everything to keep Noni on the spotlight, and many other people who are listening to us. Mr. Leo, it's a pleasure being here with you today.
Okay. Dr. Micheal and Ndimancu, we start with you. What message is the FSNC sending by refusing to take part in the 2026 twin elections?
Well, whatever message they may be sending now, I think that as a political observer, it's not a new message. It is not a new message because 3 times of a mistake is 3 times too much. Why do I say so? In 1992, we have the same incidents or the same issue with the SDF, and who later on cried foul, and it was like there was this regret, remorse for what they did. And even though not directly, but they passively apologized to the militants for having dashed their hopes to the wall. 2020, it was yet another mistake that the MRC, the CRM, committed, and that cost them so much that in 2025, they couldn't utterly drive through their political agendas and manifestos through a presidential election because they went against the rule, the constitution or the elections rule, by not going for the council and legislative election in 2020. Now again, we have another party, the FSNC of Issa Chiruma, utterly bringing us to the same mistake and the same spot where we found ourselves. And now we begin to ask ourselves, did we run away from cold land to discover ourselves in frost land? The point in time is that these parties that have been boycotting elections are just parties that sometimes Cameroonians hold them like high hopes at a particular moment. 1992, the SDF, the hope of Cameroonians as an opposition party, when the wind of change blew from Eastern Europe to Cameroon. And there, people got disappointed. And you know, the euphoria, the pageantry that was supposed to always come with in every community, it reduced. 2020, it was that hero called Maurice Kamto, when everyone thought this was a savior coming to salvage Cameroonians from dictatorship, salvage Cameroonians from economic difficulties, salvage Cameroonians from the epileptic electricity and taps that ran dry. It was again Maurice Kamto who said, no, we are not going. Now again, Issa Chiruma. And you know, he was much more like the salvific Jesus at this particular point in time because Cameroonians were in dire need of Issa Chiruma. Even though on self-exile, we think that it was an opportunity for him to try through, to give reasons, like I saw the Senegalese team give reasons to their prowess on the field yesterday, to say, despite all, we are going to go there. With the fighting spirit that we thought Issa Chiruma was going to have, because we saw the mass of people who followed him during the period. Now, my reading of it all is now that we are playing selfish politics, la politique de vente, and I will not go against any longer François Bayard of his l'État en Afrique, la politique de vente, because it appears as if somebody feels that since he is not in the position of actually controlling stakes or controlling issues, he should just let everything fall and go down the drain. It is understandable so, because we understood that during the 2020s, the MRC president felt he was not in a position of controlling things. Now it is just Roman who feels that he is in exile and that he is not in a measure of controlling things, and therefore, since he is not there to be able to call the shots, everything should crumble. And I am saying no. This is not the way they play politics. I have often said that in politics, we have successful people. And that again, as much as we want to consider some people successful, we will not outwardly put them or have them as monument if they do not have successors. So in every successful person, there must be a successor. If the only strong man that we have in a party, if there's only one strong man that we have in a party, then there is a problem that you have in a whole party with a lot of following. We have only one strong person, and that when that person is not in the position of actually calling the shot, then no other person should be there. I think that we have to go better. We have to play better politics in Cameroon, and I'm sure that we are going to be dissecting further.
Can you understand the decision by FSNC not to want to run for these elections?
Politically, is a difficult decision, but interest-wise, it makes sense.
Okay.
Interest-wise, because from his perspective and his interest, he says he won the 2025 presidential election. So he still calls himself the president-elect of Cameroon, and he still believes that he has what it takes to reclaim his victory. Now, so from that perspective, asking his party to go in for election, the municipal and legislative election, which will mean that he lied to Cameroonians from his perspective of his interest, also will also mean that he definitely has accepted the reality that he did not win the 2025 presidential election. So from that perspective of interest wise and his personality, it is okay. Now, from the perspective of those who believe in democracy, who are on the ground, who believe that, you know, the election has been concluded, maybe we'll now look for other strategy to see how we can fight for the interests of the common Cameroonians. Boycotting the municipal and legislative election doesn't make sense. And these people, I'm talking about the greater majority of those who are in Cameroon, who still believe that the system can be changed through the municipal and legislative election. If you look at what Dr. Ndimancu rightly puts it, it is clear that history keeps repeating itself, and the more we go with the repetition of history, the very, very angry we become, because the truth is, boycotting an election has never served the interests of the people. It has instead emboldened those who have been there and those who the people cry that they have failed. You have emboldened them because no, they don't have a challenger. Look at 1990 when the SDF boycotted. What happened? There is something that risks happening in this municipal and legislative election. Because as you see, from when we started from the 1996, opposition majority at the parliament keep dropping. It drops, it drops, it drops. This year, there's a parliamentary election occurred in Benin on Sunday. Do you know what happened in Benin? Provisional result, all the opposition lost their seat in Benin. People should go and this Sunday that just passed, there was a parliamentary election. Now look at, let us ask ourselves this. The fact that how many parliamentary seats did the opposition have in the 2020 municipal and legislative election? It reduced. Why? Because MRC did not participate. If MRC had participated, the one that SDF had, the one that UNDP had, the one that FSNC had, MRC would have had, it would have reduced the best majority of the ruling party. At that level, things could be changed from the level of the parliament. But because they did not, it was a favor for the ruling party to enjoy its largesse and other political parties to enjoy largesse. One thing that we must understand is that when election is ongoing, it is the opposition versus the ruling party. In the case of municipal election, as MRC did not go, the opposition had a constant number. Now the ruling party, because MRC was more of a movement at the time, benefited from the vacuum. And let us ask ourselves the question, what is the interest of the common man? The common man, they don't care who is president of Cameroon. What they care is that when they touch their switch, electricity should be there. What they care is that when they put on their taps, the water flowing there should be of standard that they can use for domestic activities. What they care is that debt and mountains of debt should not pile on their streets. What they care is that the roads network should be taken care of. I bet you, all of us sitting here, if we get up in the morning and you see that you have electricity, your roads are okay, the tax system is better, and the services are good, you don't care who is president of the country. That is why the municipal and legislative election is the most important election in the history of every country, because that is where the laws are made. That is where the real fight is. And I was telling people before the presidential election that me, I don't too much care about the presidential election. Me, I'll put my energy at the level of the municipal election, because I know why. The municipality, as we are talking now, what we should be asking ourselves this question, that what have our mayors been able to do? Like you ask the question, is it right or wrong? Conclusively, from the interest of Minister Issa Chuma Bakari, president of the FSNC, from his perspective, as he says, President Elu, he's correct. But from the general interest, as a perspective of those who believe that the 2025 presidential election is done and dusted, he's not correct. Now it now depends on which side do we stand, or do individuals stand. If you stand with him, it is still a constitutional right, because everybody believes the constitution gives you a right to choose. But me, I say that decision, to me, I don't see it okay. From that perspective, I don't see it okay.
Okay, you don't think it is okay? Does boycott strengthen or weaken the opposition in Cameroon? Boycotting elections, Prince?
It weakens.
Okay.
Without a second thought, it weakens the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
It's when I went through the
motivations, or the reasons advanced?
Yes, the reasons advanced. Mm-hmm. I said a lot of things to myself. I think, like Doctor said, we have politique du vent, because Mr. Liu, decisions are taken at the National Assembly. Cameroon has 180 parliamentarians, the CPDM has 98. This is a privilege that was coming to the opposition, because as of now, the FSNC of Issa Chuma Bakari is boiling very, very high. It was the same effervescence that the CRM had in 2018. And we are thinking that for Chiruma to say he will not go for the municipal and legislative elections, it means that we have politicians who care so much about themselves than the people. Because when you go for municipal and legislative elections, Mr. Liu, you will of course be taking councils. You will have a mayor somewhere who will fight to ensure that the people have good roads, who will also fight to ensure that electricity comes to that community. You also have people at the National Assembly, the Parliament, who will ensure that the decisions that are taken to take care of the country, Cameroon, they too have a say. But now when you decide not to take part, we are looking to another elections where once another political party, the CPDM, will take an absolute majority, they'll always say that they rigged elections, they did it. But I feel, Mr. Liu, that everything has started. If we are where we are today, I think that Chiruma should be, if at all, he took time, like Javis said, the decision that he took, because Maurice Kamto paid a very hard price for boycotting the municipal and legislative elections. They just needed you to have an elected official, a councillor or whatever. He did not have. That is how he found himself with money them. And later on, we saw how things were unfolding until he finally went out of the presidential race. I feel, Mr. Liu, that every elections, like Javi said, which is very, very true, the most important elections in every nation is the municipal and legislative elections. I'm telling you that one of the most difficult elections that we are facing, even in our own different localities, is not the presidential elections. Why? Because during the presidential elections, you have people who will come together and say, okay, even if it's, let us first of all vote for the president. But now when it comes to municipal elections, Mr. Liu, the people are asking themselves, should we vote for Kum Leonard? Does he represent our aspirations? Should we vote for Javis? Does he It means that it is an election that is people inclined. It's not as if presidential election is not people inclined, but I feel that the municipal elections and legislative elections are very determinant, because it is where the people decide, why should we vote Javis as the mayor? Why should we vote Dr. Ndimancu as the parliamentarian? This is where it is. Because the person who is the mayor is a person who has a day-to-day life of the people. The parliamentarian is a person who connects the people to the National Assembly. He's the one who presents to the National Assembly that my people have these problems. My people have these problems. But now when you think that you will not go for municipal legislative elections because you think that you won the presidential elections and that you were cheated, the next presidential elections of this country, if I'm not mistaken, should be in 2032.
Exactly.
Of course. Now, it means that Chiruma is telling Cameroonians that they should fold their arms, they should wait till 2032. Because the truth is, Mr. Leo,
if they have to wait till 2032, will he be will he run for this election?
That's it, Mr. Leo. That is why I think that at times, Mr. Leo, I don't know those who advise our politicians. At times.
But do you also understand the point he raised that Issa Chiruma actually calls himself the president-elect and considers that he won these elections? In that posture, if you claim to have won the elections, does it really make sense for you to want to go and run for elections organized by someone whom you consider illegitimate?
Mr. Leo, history has taught us a lot of lessons. Doctor said it. One of the greatest problems that caused the Social Democratic from the SDF was Nee John's boycott of the municipal legislative elections. If not, if the SDF went for that elections, I bet you that would have had an absolute majority at the National Assembly. And that's where laws are taken. And in 2018, we also saw someone who called himself the President Elu. It is the same posture that Issa Chiruma Bakari is taking. I just feel that, Mr. Liu, let us, it is needless crying over spilled milk.
Okay.
And like Doctor said in Javis, we saw normally even just in the football pitch what Senegal did. They almost left the pitch. But at one time they said, let us go, let's take our destinies in our hands. And at the end they won. I feel that in as much as you won the elections and you claim you won them, get the seats. Because it will cost you nothing. Get the seats of the mayors, get councillors, and get parliamentarians. Why you struggle for the presidential elections?
Is he not to an extent also right, Emmanuel? Because he says he won the presidential elections and was not given. What is the guarantee that the seats is going to win at the legislative and municipal levels are not going to be stolen? Because that could also be his worries.
The presidential candidate who called himself president-elect of FSNC has been parading, denying the same thing. He had a lot of contradiction in him, because you accepted the process from Elekam to the constitutional council when they endorsed your candidacy, and after a sudden, when elections came, conducted, you voted physically, but then dependent on other things. So I think he needs to, Cameroonian, I'm not even talking to him, Cameroonians who are following him should understand that he wasn't fighting for their sake. He was doing his one-man show because he got the opportunity and thought that I wanted to use us as his own, a means to an end, and not a means to another means.
That is what
Yes.
that is what you believe,
Yes.
but I'm not sure that is what him and the supporters think.
But we are looking at the facts and figures. If we say history, experience is the best teacher, we are going to go back to 1992 when Nijon Food boycotted, 2018, and Chiruma is doing it again. And to be surprised for me is that he has been throughout along present in all these elections, and he knows he has got councillors. He had the region, he had councillor after the CPDM was his party in the National Assembly and in local councils. So going forward now, he just created a momentum, and I want to take this opportunity to greet the Bishop of Yagua, who said even the devil, they like the devil, they will manage it. And this is exactly what the devil says in the Bible says in the book of John chapter 10 verse 10, the devil comes to steal, lie, and destroy. And that's exactly what the so-called president-elect is doing, because he has led Cameroonians to believe in him, and Cameroonians have believed in lies. If not, at what moment, why should you come on board now to declare that if you love those Cameroonians, must you be the one to be there? That is the question we're asking ourselves, which is not so. If you're actually fighting for these people, give them the chance to go to the various elections. The municipal elections and legislative are the most important elections in any polity, in any country, any state, because that is the foundation of democracy, the foundation of administration. And we shouldn't allow people to demonstrate ill intentions using our names. I want to say this. Chiroma is running away from the municipal elections because, first, they are not prepared. The candidate is not prepared. The party as well. They cannot take 2 months or how many months to prepare for the election. They discovered that, in fact, it is above them. Forget about the popularity.
Do you understand? Do you at least understand the issue of elections irregularities in Cameroon?
I do.
Has he not the right to be concerned?
He has the right. And now when you have the right, do you run away from, you're just supposed to run away. Like Prince said, there are moments that things happen. You have to confront the things. Despite the difficulties, even the Bible says, narrow is the way we shall follow, no matter how narrow it is. And that's why we are expecting Chiroma. Now, he should let Cameroonians who loved him, Cameroonians he thinks voted for him to be what he's calling himself, the president-elect, he should give them the chance to go into the parliament, to the councils, and let's see. That is where change begins. Political achievement must not necessarily come from the above. The party is not prepared. And secondly, there has been a lot of exposure about the fake news, everything about the popularity of Chiroma's party. That is because his sympathizers, his militants were militants of the MRC who gave him the support. Now that the president of MRC has come back and is encouraging people to go for election, Chiroma now finds himself isolated without the usual support he had during the presidential election.
We are not talking MRC.
I was just quoting an example.
Let's stick to the yeah, but historically, what have we gained from previous boycott actions by political parties, and how has that moved the democratic process in Cameroon forward?
Yeah, as I said earlier, when you look back, when you make a retrospective look back in Cameroon politics, of course, we are thinking about the 1990s when the wind of change blew from Eastern Europe, and you will see that boycott has only served the interest of the ruling party. Boycott favors the ruling party. Boycott helps weaken the opposition to the interest of the ruling party. One of the things that I must remind each and every world and his wife, of course, is that the issue of elections rigging is not just an issue of Cameroon alone. Election rigging is all over the world. But one of the things that keeps the electoral dynamism, the electoral ambience going is first when opposition leaders stick to their moral and democratic responsibility. This is very, very important. You must stick to your moral and democratic responsibility. Meaning that what? You must have that feeling that you are out to accept to lose or to get going. It must be like that. It is not for nothing that in the USA, even when we cry foul, the election has been rigged, and of course, it is always reported that most often it is rigged, that the next morning, an opposition, either a Democrat who lost or the Republican who lost, calls the winner to say, I congratulate you for your strength and for winning the election. It is important. This keeps your moral and democratic strength and responsibility at bay and at your pedigree. It is very, very important for us.
It sounds so easy. We have somebody like Cabralibi who did what you are saying, but look at how Cameroonians perceive him.
Well, how do you perceive him? The point is that when you look at
I made
Cabral
a post about him today, and when you go through the comments, it tells you that the mere fact that he did what you are suggesting actually has put him at odds with thousands of admirers.
Mr. Kum, one of the things that we should know is getting the views of the popular people in the quarters or in the parks and all over, especially those who are just there to make the rhetoric, make the noise. When you look at the performance of Cabral Libby, and of course, even before this election, Cabral Libby was always underrated by so many people for the fact that he may not meet up to. But when you look at his performance,
what was his score?
Well, not the score, but we are looking at the position where he came.
What was his score?
Well, if the score may be less than 5, but it is important that he came up and that he was at least amongst the first 3.
He wanted to be president of the Republic.
He wanted to be president of the Republic. And do you know why he became popular?
So we should celebrate 3% when the objective was to become president of the
Republic? Yes, we should celebrate. Why? Because when you look at 2018, he got the parliamentary posts and the mayors in 2020 because of his performance of 2 point something in 2018. That gets him the credibility.
He had more than this.
Good, but was that to become a president?
He has regressed.
Yes, he dropped.
He dropped him from the score.
And the reaction from the population tells that what you're suggesting.
Yes.
Mr. Kum, I think that we should look at the position he has come. It is important that the position he has come may also help him impose him again in the 2026 municipal and legislative election. Coming amongst the first 3, it is performance. That even though the score or the percentage has dropped, it is important that we also recognize the fact that if there are heavyweights that were thrown off the race, some who even disappeared, some who even just lie low and went under other candidates, and Cabral Libby was there. I'm not saying that his performance was the best. I know about his loopholes. I know about his failures and all of those. But I'm just saying that at that particular moment where you have people with 0.0 point this, whom we even thought were going to be heavyweights in the election, we still have to thank him that he did well. And we know that 2020, and let me bet you, I bet you, what Issa Chiroma is doing is going to give credibility to Cabral Libby. It is very, very important. This is not, people think that because if Chiroma says he's not going for election, then people are just going to stay home, they will not vote. They are going to vote. They are going to go for plan B. And the plan B may just be the second person of the opposition that actually came in the last election. It is very important because presidential election projects people. It projects people. People go for presidential election. Most of those who went, they were not even going to be president. You know, during that period, we were in close touch. And what we did with the opposition leader, many of them were not going to win the presidential election. Many of them were just going to show themselves their credibility and show for the future happenings or the future electoral processes in Cameroon, which is important. And I'm sure that a person like even Cabral Libby, that is what he's looking at.
You think so?
I don't subscribe to Dr. Ndimancu's point here, because the truth here is that if we ask Dr. Ndimancu, like on many of us, the total tally of the just ended presidential election, we may not produce. And secondly, in a lot of circumstances surrounding the 2025 presidential election, we cannot rely on the positioning and say, okay, this person will rally more in this municipal election. Because if you have to drop by your numbers, there's a concern. It's not the position that matter, because politics is about the numbers, not positioning. If you are even the second, but your last election you came, you were 50, let's say 500,000, and this year you are dropping to 200,000. And if you look at opinion polls across now, popular opinion, yes, that's I subscribe to this one now. Now, if you look at, no, I'm talking about the consistency. I'm not looking at Pobia here. I'm looking about why. And Mr. Kum, if you look at the opinion polls about what you just published, it can tell you further how it will drop. The fact that Mr. Issa Chiroma may not be there on the ballot doesn't mean that people will be forced to take another alternative, because it is clear the people are saying, let us also be clear that the people said they were using 2025 presidential election as a litmus test for the credibility. Some people may not vote again after this 2025 presidential election. Don't be shocked to see the number drop back, because we had an increase based on the mobilization. Now let's come into Issa Chiroma. I hear my brother Emmanuel was talking about the fact that Chiroma was came and is misguiding people and trying to deceive people. The truth of the matter here is that every political leader has his vision, his ideology, and its mission. We will not also dissociate the fact that the issues surrounding our elections in Cameroon need to really be looked into in terms of the irregularities, because the irregularities are real. We all watch the presidential election. How many persons were arrested for ballot stuffing? But the constitution says ballot stuffing, people should be arrested if they are caught. How many people? So if these issues are not addressed, it's also giving that candidate a reason to some extent to tell you that address some of these issues. Why I disagree with him not moving forward with this election. We're not moving forward for this municipal election. But on the other side, if I look at him from the personal point of view, remember, he was campaigning for a 3 to 5 year as transitional president. So 2032, to him, his vision, he was not, based on his vision, 2032 was not part of his vision that he would meet 2032 as a candidate. Except all of us here did not follow his manifesto. He was campaigning as a transitional president for 3 to 5 years. And for 3 to 5 years, if you look at 2032, it has a different apparatus. Secondly, if a candidate used boycott, it did not work. Another candidate used boycott, it did not work. Another candidate used boycott, it did not work. The question we should be asking is, what is Minister Issa Chuma counting on? Mindful of the fact that he has wealth of experience as someone who had witnessed all the boycotts and have seen how boycotts have negatively affected the particular political parties that call for boycott. The question we should be asking is, what could he be counting on for boycotting? And yeah, that's why I'm saying that that's the question we should be asking. We cannot, I cannot, and I will not encourage anybody to run down a candidate because the candidate says he's not going for election without looking at the reality. Realities are on the ground. Some of the inconsistencies that we all witness in the presidential election should be addressed also at this point in time to give credibility. Like Dr. Ndimancu said, that we watch other nations how people congratulate others after losing an election. The question also we should be asking is, what were the circumstances of the organization of the election? What was also the circumstances under which others opposition were treated after the other persons won? Were they treated in the kind of, how was the situation among those of the other opposition handled? Cases here are different. We have socio-demographic factors here. It's different from America. It's different from Nigeria. It's different from Cameroon. It's a glissé. It gets light and muddy during the dry season. So at the end of the day, we look at all these issues. Minister Chuma, personally, as Chuma, in his agenda that he subscribed to Cameroon in 2025 presidential election, is okay for not running for this municipal election. But for those of us who look at things from a different perspective, who think that the 2025 presidential election is dust and dusted, let's move forward. Why? Pending on the fact that some of the election issues be resolved. Because what guarantee also that the municipal elections will not have some of the irregularities that we had? That it is only after elections that some things are some facts are accepted. We should also ask ourselves that what are the electoral laws in terms of how the elections can be conducted, how the results can be declared. We're told, we all want witness in the Constitutional Council. They said Elecam is just a transporter and there's an organizer. You cannot sue this person, you cannot sue this person. At the end of the day, who carries the valid vote and the valid counting? The same thing that we are seeing opposition now, some are saying that, oh, they stand a better chance of winning. Let's hope and pray, because in 2020, the same noise that opposition talked about the issue of election integrity is the same thing that was not adjusted. They were not adjusted in the presidential election. 2020 went for an election. We cried foul. We said, oh, there are some irregularities. Let us resolve these irregularities to give our election process integrity, to make many people to believe in the process. But 2020 came and passed. 2025, okay, some of those things were not handled. So Mr. Issa Chuma, conclusively for my position, I repeat it, as Chiruma vision is okay, but for Cameroonians who believe in a different vision, it's not okay.
Yeah, but is this a protest against the electoral system or an admission of our political witness? Because if Frunzi said, I'm not going for elections because he was not happy, things were not fixed. We have Kanto who also says, I'm not going. Things seemingly are not worked on. And today we have Issa Chiruma Bakari who says, I'm not going for these same elections. What does it this tell of the trust that our Cameroonian politicians have of the electoral process?
Mr. Leo, the truth is that
we're talking about trust.
Yeah, the truth here is that most candidates who go into different elections in the country are not ignorant of the realities.
Okay.
Issa Cheruma Bakari has been a minister with this same system for 20 and plus years.
What realities?
When I talk of realities is that they know that there is a LECAM. They know that the president of the Constitutional Council, Clement Satanga, declares results. I'm not part of the house. But now, they know certain realities. I'm not saying that they rig elections or what. But now, when you go for elections and you know that at the end of the day, it will be rigged or it will not be rigged, then you go in. And now, I don't know, when I look at most of the politicians we have in Cameroon, I just feel that they are taking Cameroonians for fools. For fools because Minister Issa Cheruma Bakari has been Minister of Communication of this nation. He has been government spokesperson. Because the Minister of Communication speaks for the country. He speaks for Paul Biya. He speaks for the nation. He knows a lot of things. When you go in for an election, like he went for presidential elections, and the results came out, whether he won or he did not win. But if one were to go by, because a fact is what has been proven, the Constitutional Council says that President Paul Biya won the elections, which is a fact. Whatever thing that says that somebody won, it is not a fact. Except he brings a proof to show that he won. But for now, the person who won that election was President Paul Biya. That is one. Two, when we look at him boycotting legislative and municipal elections, Mr. Liu, you talked about the trust for the people. I want to also feel, Mr. Liu, that somebody told me someday that even dirty water is not poured away until you have clean one. I think that for now, if I were a militant of the FSNC, I would have been telling my national president, Issa Cheruma Bakari, that sir, this decision is not a good one. Let us go and grab parliamentary seats. Let us grab mayors, councillors. From this we'll be eyeing. Because, you know, elections, at one time, Mr. Leo, you know that politics is something that you come with a star. And at one time it fades. I bet you that in 2032, if we are still alive, we'll not be talking Chiruma's case. Somebody will have come in with new energy. In 2018 was Maurice Kamto.
You raised an issue that at times we say before throwing away dirty water.
Yeah.
We should.
You must have been sure to have clean water.
So if you don't have clean water,
you keep the dirty water.
What are you saying?
What I'm saying here is that, Mr. Liu, what I'm saying here is simple. I'm saying that, in as much as Cheruma has been in this system and knows the technicalities of the system, if I were him, the dirty water he has,
a few MPs and the
that is it. Let him keep it first. While he looks for good.
What is the guarantee he's going to have this?
He will have, Mr. Liu. The truth is that when I look at the effervescence,
the water is dirty.
No. When I talk of the water is dirty,
how do you get something out of dirty water? Yeah.
Mr. Leo,
that is the analogy that you should be talking about. Have a loop.
Have a loop.
Not dirty
no.
Yes. That is the analogy of having parliamentarian.
No. Mr. Leo.
Because you can't see inside dirty water. Right?
Mr. Leo.
Yeah.
Mr. Leo. What I'm saying is this: is that Minister Issa Cheruma Bakari, if I were him, while waiting to prove that he won the elections, which it is still possible. Because from what I've been reading online, he has people who are calling presidents, he has people who are backing him up. If I were him, I would say no. No, if I were him, I'm speaking, you understand, I'm speaking
so after
that...
the municipal parliamentary election,
get the
come and
seat.
invalidate the presidential election.
Mr. Leo.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Leo, a bet in hand is worth millions that you're yet to catch. And I'm saying that if I were Issa Cheruma Bakari, I will go in for municipal legislative elections. Why I'm saying so is because, Mr. Leo, as of now, Cameroonians are thirsty for change. And anybody who comes with a casket of an opposition, irrespective of where the person is standing, has a following. It is the same energy that Cabral came with. And at one time, Tony Kabalebe has 5 parliamentarians, including himself.
Okay.
It is the same energy that Maurice Kamto came with. But today, Maurice bounced out. And the truth is, the MRC of 2025 or 2026 is not the MRC of 2018. Issa Chiruma Bakari of the FSNC of the last presidential elections may not be the same in 2032.
Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. I think Chiruma would have learned from the experience of SDF and MRC. Chiruma experience in 2025 is due to poor electoral code. Boycotting election of the body that can change the electoral code is a serious mistake, and Cameroonians would not hesitate to dump him. Thank you. Kwan Jacob is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm Remy, writing from Boya. I think that if Kamto had gone in for the municipal and parliamentary elections, Ikane will still be alive, and the oppositions should prove their love for the country and people and stop being egoistic. Thank you. Greetings, Mr. Liu. The country is not being run by municipal or parliament. It's being run by
using the code are Cameroonians who are preparing for elections, who are going to vote. If they don't see, if the administrator don't see reason with them, then there's a problem. You understand? There's a problem, and that's why we keep on encouraging Cameroonians. Yes, the legitimate cry for the revision of electoral code. I think I heard one parliamentarian saying he's going to table a private bill on that on the floor of the National Assembly during the next opening session. So we should have hope that things are going to change. And like President Pobia said, it is the time for the youth, and the youth who are bringing up these ideas, maybe as we are hoping, and obviously those are things that are going to be discussed in Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Leo.
Okay. Someone say greetings to all over there. I am called Titus from Tico. I have been listening to the debate, and I am tempted to believe that you guys are avoiding the truth. This is surely a planned act to give the ruling party majority or maintain the status quo. Chiruma is not an opposition. He is okay. Now, please, we are here just to discuss on what is happening. If you think that you know the truth, barrister, the person writing is, let me get his name. You contact Barrister Titus Titatang. You are writing from Tico. If you think that what the people on this platform are saying is not the truth, please write to me. I will gladly receive you on Wednesday on this platform to come and tell Cameroonians the truth. How does now this decision by Issa Chiruma Bakari not to run for this election, how does it affect the opposition?
It does. It does. In the first place, it weakens the opposition. Remember, before these elections, we were talking about alliance, having the opposition come together. If at this point in time, the one strongest opposition at the time is Issa Chiruma, he is disintegrating definitely to say that he's not going to go in for the next election. Then you can imagine what the next elections will look like. And Mr. Liu, I wish to come back to this issue of, because we have always had these issues of blame on why the opposition is boycotting elections. And it's good to talk about it. There has been allegations. In 1992, John Fundi was alleged to have taken money. We listened to the audio by Aben Zongang, who said John Fundi was given money. We don't know how true that is, but those are allegations that we get. As if that is not all, in 2018, we got another allegation that before Mr. Maurice Kamto boycotted, he received 1 billion francs. Those are allegations, even though we have not verified to know, but we have to note them. Now we have 2025. It appears as 1 billion francs has become now the norm of buying the opposition. We got people saying Joshua Osi has received 1 billion, Cabral Levy has received 1 billion, and all of that. And I'm looking for the significance of 1 billion to the opposition. I'm trying to find out what that exactly is. But then I want to look at it from the point of view of why people boycott, and then before long they want to come back. Because in 1992, there was a reason why the SDF boycotted. And then that very reason was not solved. And they came back again in 1997. And then I asked myself, why did they come back when that reason was solved? We're going to provide answers, possible answers. Another thing is, Mr. Maurice Kamto boycotted in 2020. And then in 2025, the very laws, electoral laws, were still in place that he denounced. But he came back in 2025, even crying like a baby. And then we begin to ask ourselves, is Issa Chiroma not also going to come again in 2032? After having lost the legislatures and municipal, which he knows that according to the electoral code, if he doesn't have candidates or doesn't have representative in the National Assembly, in the local councils and all of that, he will not go in 2032. Who are they trying to fool here? There is an issue. It appears either they lack strategists to inform them exactly of what is happening, or that the hypothesis of 1 billion francs is holding. They should be very careful, because we are going to take them to task. Now, let us look at the loopholes, because we know of political leaders who are Spartans. Political leaders who pressure for electoral reforms are much more regarded. Why do we only, I was hoping that at this point in time, most of these opposition, they should gather together, since they say the electoral reforms are bad. Mr. Kum, you asked a question about that. We are not seeing any meaningful force or energy being exerted towards this perspective to say that we want the electoral code to be revised. And we are months to elections. Rather, we are saying that we should boycott and say that, okay, we won and it was rigged. Even though in that perspective, I still want to answer Mr. Tah Javis, because after he said it well, that the opposition who got very low percentages and that the opposition, I mean, politics is number. But I want to say, if there's a popular view that elections were rigged, then also know that those of these people, Cabral, even the rest, were rigged. Exactly. So that is the point, and therefore we cannot say that they are utterly weak per se. So the failure of a long-term struggle of political parties is what we should be castigating. Because
but let's look at a fact. There are some militants of FSNC who have written to me and expressing their complete disappointment in what is happening here. Please, we don't have a party here. We have not taken part, because they say none of you have bothered to find out where the officials of these parties are. Most of them were taken up in the West region. Most of them have been locked up. They are in prison. And how do they go for these elections?
Yeah, Mr. Leo, like I said, that every party has its idea and manifesto, and that Mr. Issa Chiroma Bakari may have taken this decision with the best interest of his party. So maybe that person did not follow what I said from my first interjection. And what I'm saying here is that if we look at the issue about political parties in Cameroon, they have a problem communicating. And because sometimes when you take this kind of decision, there are some of your surrogates that you are supposed to send out to explain the reason behind this decision. Nobody is supposed to run behind you for you to explain the reason behind this decision. You do a video address. If you are afraid that maybe if you come to a panel, they may arrest you, you can do a video address and explain in detail why this decision, way forward of this decision, because this was announced and we have not had a full debrief as far as the decision is concerned, such that we can now critically analyze that this decision was taking this, that. Now, you asked a question to Dr. Ndimancu that this decision of Minister Issa Chiroma, will it not weaken, how will it affect the opposition party? And answering that question, I will be very honest with you that the opposition has weakened themselves. In fact, the opposition, they are heading to a zero chance of gaining even 20 to 30 seats for the municipal and legislative election. We are moving towards the Benin scenario, where in Benin, municipal elections, parliamentary elections were conducted on Sunday, and opposition lost all its seats. All its seats. Now, this is why we are heading towards. In the presidential election, Mr. Kum, the opposition parties failed to come together. That was when that was the litmus test for unity. Before the election, they failed to come together. During the election, they failed to come together. After the election, they failed to come together. In the presidential election, It was supposed to be the ruling party versus the opposition. We all watch how instead some opposition members spend their entire time campaigning against opposition, like it was opposition that had been in power for the last 40 years or 39 years or so. We watched it, and some of them are now preaching that no, oh, the system is bad. Some of them are saying the system is bad. They know themselves. Now, we also watched it, how some were saying that don't go to this party, don't go to this party, whereas it was a moment for opposition unity. The next issue was when the election result came out. All the opposition parties that we had, that was a good time for unity again, because unity in terms of the general harmonization of their result. Say, okay, this man, you have how many percent verbal? Let us correlate. Let us see how we can see our percent verbal. Ask all of these political parties, where are their results? Where are their own correlated results? What happened to their washroom? Some told us that they have 31,000 polling agents. That by 8 p.m. they will know the result. Some came out and said they already know the result. They are second or third based on the result they had. Then after a while they came and told us that no, it is only the Constitutional Council that has to proclaim the result. Till now, most of these opposition parties who are still even active, have they given an audit to their voters as far as the voting went? No. Everybody is mute. Now, this comes to affect the issue you asked Joel about election credibility and integrity. Trust in the process. Because if you cannot come together as opposition to say, okay, maybe this party, this was what we had. The Constitutional Council has a final verdict, but this was what we had. This is how we had here, what we had here. But if you cannot, how do you expect people to trust the process? And like Dr. Ndimancu further butchers it, you are not making people to rely on the hypothesis. Hypothesis of either you have collected or you have not collected. Because the truth is, the hypothesis, the ingredient which can either confirm or debunk based on the unity. The aspect of unity was supposed to disprove the fact that you have not collected. The aspect of voting audit to say that, okay, I told you people that I will have this number of polling agents. I had this number of polling agents. Like the Cali Church came and told us that they covered 39% of the polling units of the entire election. Now, as they covered 39%, how we expect the people to further have trust if at the end of the day you say you cannot release the result because you are not elected, you are not Constitutional Council? The same thing applies to political parties. All of these political parties, the unity, they lost it from the beginning of the presidential election, during the presidential election, and after the presidential election. And they are still now thinking and hoping for negotiation. Like Dr. Ndimancu rightly put it, that there were people who came for this presidential election for negotiation. Because they knew, and they knew that they cannot go far, they came for negotiation. And this is the moment where they were waiting for. This is now that they are catching out, because they knew that they could not come together to have a consensual candidate. Because if they come together, they will not have room for negotiation. They were buying their time around, and that's why some of them have not released, have not given voting audit. They are not giving audit because they are waiting for negotiation.
Gilberto from Bafusam says, please, Issa Chiroma Bakari knows the regime more than you people in the studio. He's about to lose popularity. I think he knows that as we do. The regime is very happy when Cameroonians are confused, like the case now. God will save us one day. This one says, even the headquarters and President Chiroma's house in Oleswa in Yaoundé, which was used as the headquarters, Quartier General of FSNC, is still under high surveillance. Musa Me is writing from Menchum. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Mr. Thierry writing from Limbe. Mr. Leo, to me, I'm strongly in support of Mr. Chiroma, because why will you waste your time to go for something that has already been planned? The same regime will possibly ruin everything for its militants, as they were behind the president during the past presidential elections. Mr. Leo, the truth is that there is no election in this country. Imagine before election, the winner is already known. Then what is the need? FSNC going for elections in this country will mean that they've accepted the results of the elections. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo. Greetings to you and your panelists. The idea of not going in for election is a good idea. You can't go ahead for elections while you are militants, have been arrested, jailed, while others are on the run. Aliyu is writing from Kononi. This one says, this is one of Chiroma's coordinator. People can say what they want, but they don't want to even know the whereabouts of Chiroma's militants and coordinators. Some of them are still under custody and in their hidden positions. Who do they want to organize the elections, or do they want President Chiroma to risk his life and come to organize the elections? Please, some of your panelists, okay, this one says, good evening, please, some of your panelists are out to confuse Cameroonians for the CPDM. Okay, good evening, Mr. Liu. Are these opposition politicians not playing with the life of Cameroonians? You people should look at these politicians very well. They are playing a hide-and-seek game. Martin is writing from Bafusam. Greetings to all over there. I'm called Titus from Tico. I have been listening to your debate. I read that message already. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Happy New Year, big brother. Watching from Bamenda, I do not blame Chiroma for boycotting the twins elections because the ruling party through Eleka decides the number of seats and councillors for any party that is participating. Now, we're going to be concluding on this first topic so that we move towards the second topic. But very briefly, now, we see many officials of the CRM today lambasting the position of Chiroma, as if they were not putting on the same shoes yesterday. There is a confused mood amongst the oppositions, and one is tempted to ask the question whether the opposition are really poised to unseat the majority position of the CPDM at the Glass House.
The opposition is more opposed than the current regime, because we are going through a situation where the opposition keeps fighting itself. When you have someone who is maybe of FSNC and thinks that nothing good can come from the SDF, and someone from the SDF thinks that nothing can come good from the CRM, and someone from the CRM thinks that nothing good can come from Cabral Libby's PCRN, it tells you that the opposition in Cameroon spends time fighting themselves. Whereas if they came together and strategized and kept their energy as one person, it would have been better. And I still feel, Mr. Liu, that some of our viewers, I don't know how they are getting it, but I just feel that everything begins with a step. I'm still coming back to the point that in as much as you are saying that you won the elections, we should be able to learn from past experiences. In as much as you won the elections, while you are crying, Mr. Liu, don't cry and stand on the same spot. You cry and you're moving. When you fall, you get up. You do not look at where you fall, but you ask yourself, why did I fall, and what do I do not to fall again? Someone said it, which is true, and I said it here, that Chiroma Bakari, Minister Issa Chiroma Bakari, masters this nation. It is not everybody who is the communication minister in a nation. A communication minister is government's voice. He takes government's position. It means that at one time, he had very close links with the president. He knows some of these realities more than even me. And I think, Mr. Liu, that Chiroma went in for the elections. He knows the technicalities. I don't work for Eleka.
The waters are dirty.
What technicalities, Prince?
What
technicalities?
When I talk of the technicalities, when he comes and is complaining about Eleka, to me it's no news. Don't we have this same minister who was the one who said there is nothing like any crisis? He knows some of those realities. I just feel, Mr. Liu, that if I were a militant of the FSNC,
the reality, so we should not condemn him.
I'm not condemning him. I am saying that if I were a militant, this is the same thing that made Professor Maurice Kamto, the almighty Professor Maurice Kamto, to leave the CRM, resigned overnight and join Manidem. Many persons only discovered that Anise Kani had a political party called Manidem through Maurice Kamto. And I feel that at times in life, we should not take decisions that worry us tomorrow. If I were Maurice Kamto, if I were a militant of the FSNC, I would have told my president that, in as much as we are crying because we think we won the elections, we should be going. Huh? We know that we won. We know that they stole our victory. But, sir, let us take some seats. Let us win some councils. Let us go to the National Assembly and vote these laws that are killing us. Because, Mr. Liu, imagine that out of the 180 parliamentarians, the only political party that follows after the 98 of the CPDM is a PCRN with 5. No, the SDF with 5.
The CPDM has 152.
152. Thank you for the correction. 152 out of 180. Yes. Which means that anything that happens at the National Assembly, the CPDM parliamentarians also clap through. Which means that anything that Paul Biya says is your party chairman, they just go and clap at the National Assembly. What do? You get more MPs. I want to bet you, Mr. Liu, that the energy that Chiruma had in the last presidential elections, I was on ground, I saw certain realities. I think that the energy that Chiruma has as of now, if Chiruma goes in for these municipal legislative elections, he's going to sweep a lot of councils. We saw the repercussion of the CRM. We had militants who left that party, like the Michel Dokis, like the Celestine Jamens. We had so many of them who left the party because they felt that it wasn't a collective deal. Mr. Liu, the day that the CRM leader said they will not go for elections, a brother called me that he has heard something that their party will not go. This someone wanted to be a councillor in Bonaberi, Douala 4. That he has said that their party will not go for elections. I said, I'll get back to you in just a minute. I took my phone and called the SG of that party, my son Don Christopher. I said, Pa, what is going on? It's as if he said, Prince, I'll get back to you. I just feel that in as much as a political party claims victory, Mr. Liu, the party should be moving.
Okay, the party should.
You don't stay. If you fail an exam, what do? Look for where you went wrong and move ahead. Okay. If I were Issa Chiruma Bakari or a militant,
okay,
I would go for these elections.
You've made your point. Yes. Do you see a stronger opposition with more seats this time around at the municipal and legislative elections?
Yeah, Mr. Liu, I think that Cameroonians have already seen, they have learned a lot of lessons. That the first mistake was made in 1992, the second was made in 2018, and the third is about to occur in 2026. And I think that Cameroonians, from how we are getting from the street, or people are saying, because every Cameroonian, all those who we are vying for particular position, as in 2020, they are out now and saying that Chiruma, what he is doing, what Minister Chiruma is doing is for himself. They are going to seek solace in other political parties so that they can take part in nation building. They will not hang on it. Thank God Cameroon is a democratic state where you are not condemned to be in one party or not. So I think I see very well that during this time around the 2026 parliamentary elections, we are going to have more councils, more parliamentarians who are coming from the opposition. It is true, we like the dynamism. Cameroon is a very democratic nation. And the democracy is still going. We like the democracy to grow bigger and bigger, so that the CPDM should not be having in the upper and lower house, they should not be having almost 180 members. It gives our democracy some weaknesses, but we want the opposition to come in using this Republican ways. Let them be actually follow the right rules, the rules and regulations of the game. The electoral code, we keep on complaining about the electoral. When you complain, people have complained. Even they talked about the Maurice Kamtos and who were the brain behind those who took the contract to write the electoral code and come back to complain about them. It means that they don't look at themselves, and then at the point where Cameroonians who believes in them wants to enjoy to be part of nation building in one way or the other, like a mayor, like a councillor, like a parliamentarian, you stripped of that aspiration. We have many of them, like Prince was saying. It is good. We encouraging Minister Chiruma, because he has 3 members of parliament and 3 councils. if using the same, gotten through the same electoral code he is kicking against, and now with the mobilization, if he takes the mobilization of 2025, in all honesty, he is going to have more, and that is going to increase the percentage of our democracy in Cameroon. I think that with this 2026, if the oppositions galvanize themselves very well, they are going to increase the number in the parliament.
Okay. We are moving straight to our second topic to talk about the killings in Gidado Ndu. That shocked the nation and the world, reopening the painful conversations about insecurity in the Northwest region, community conflicts and justice. But the big question is, what do we do so that we do not relieve another killing in the days or months ahead, either in the Northwest or Southwest regions? We are in the Anglophone crisis, a crisis which has taken so many lives. Thousands have been killed, but the most recent is what took place in Ndu sub-division, where over 11 persons were killed. Yes, sir, I said over 11 persons were killed, where with one man and children as well as women. So many persons are actually raising security concerns of the population. Have they been abandoned to themselves? Who is actually killing for what benefit in these regions? Dr. Ndimancu, what do we know so far about the root causes of the Gidado and Ndu killings? I don't know whether it's you or him who is coming.
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I think that, as we said, when a crisis starts, you never know how the cause of the crisis. In history, we used to study something like the cause, and the consequences. That is right, and this applies very much in crisis. Sometimes people mismanage causes. People create causes. Some causes are natural, but then, in as much as they come, and in as much as we cannot prevent it, there is a way in which a crisis takes its turn that sometimes it baffles everybody. When it goes off hand, because crises do go off hand, we know when it starts, we do not know how it is going to go through. And in Gidado, you realize that this is something that could have been preempted, something that would have been managed. Even though, as a whole, crises are crises. I was talking to one of the separatist leaders after the Gidado stuff, because it's just to know that one of the top-ranking separatist leaders was my classmate in secondary school. And I asked him, is this what the Anglophones ask for as their own share of national cake? Is this all the education that you were asking for, the culture that you were asking for? Is this actually the fight, what it was all about? And he laughed and told me, simply, we are in a war situation and that anything can happen. This was his response to me. And I said, what war situation? That women and children, who of course are supposed to be respected as angels in every cause. Because you see what? There is an issue of war whereby even the international community, UNO, has the protection of women and children, holy places, schools.
Geneva Convention.
That is right. And that is why in September 11, 2001, that was even before, when a family was hit in one of the states in the USA, there's George Bush, who came out in a speech, and of course, that's how a leader does when he hears something happen, and must decry that we have not heard from our president yet, and he's taking his stand. And George Bush said, when a home, a family is touched, it is every household in America is touched. Because the family, the school, is like a temple, and everybody has to respect it. And therefore, when you look at what happened in Gidado, you will see that it resonates of what? Grievances about issues that people have now imported to put into the crisis. It is no more about the crisis. You see, I was in Bermuda the other month, and I was discussing with a few colleagues at the University of Bermuda, and we said, you know about people who have built houses, as well as these young guys who have invested in villages. And at the end of the crisis, it will be the beginning of another crisis. They are going to ask you, where did you take this money for to invest? In Gidado, we learned that cattle were stolen. Is it about the crisis? I mean, this is what you should be asking. Money was stolen. Is it about the crisis? Little children were killed. Women were killed. Now you see that is something about intra-communal crisis, not more actually the cultural Anglophone crisis. Because people are putting out their grievances, and you go and kill. Means that you are saying that he is no more your own elected official. And what is happening? Know that the point is that they are very short-sighted. When you touch a soft spot, like what happened in Gidado, it means that you have shot yourself on the leg. Let me tell you, before long, all of those guys who were involved in that issue, just as those who were involved in the killing of parliamentarian Micheal, so sooner than later, they were all wiped out. So it is good to be strategic the way you do things. You don't do this kind of a thing because you know that when you do this, the world and his wife, everybody, I mean, their hearts are with those people in Gidado. Because even those who were supporting you, because when you enter into a family like that, you create much more enemy within that family and within that community. Now you yourself, you are not more safe. Because once you touch a family, know that the person who is killed, the family member of the person who is killed, now turns against you. And now your own security is at risk. So there is no way, no justification. Honestly, there is no justification why somebody should go, even if it's revenge, you go and revenge on women and children. And when I wrote about it, somebody asked, what about men? We know that men fight war. Yes, you can clash with men anywhere. They fight war, they hold guns, they hold this. But women are just victims of circumstances. Children are victims of circumstances. I'm asking, what is the crime of that child of 2 years? What was the crime of that child of 2 years? I'm really asking the person who turned the gun, I mean, the trigger, opened it on the child. What was the crime of that child of 2 years? That is the cry of the innocent blood that we are talking about. When we're talking during nationalism, independence and stuff, they usually say that the blood of martyrs water the root for the freedom of a nation. But what is the blood of the little child? Are you going to call that little child a martyr? That is one of the things that we have to understand ourselves. And I'm sure that this very incident, like the Ngambu incident, we criticized the government. And we did. That it was established. And even yesterday, there was a court case. Here 6 soldiers were actually reprimanded. So it is important that we say that it is wrong what is wrong and is right what is right. When we criticize Ngambu, it was something that was omniscient, it was something never heard of. And of course, justice being carried out. Now, are we now saying that justice should have eyes now because it concerns Ambazonians? No. Ambazonians have touched its own people, its own very people. I mean, you know, it is like you biting the hand that feeds you. It is very, very dangerous. And now you are asking us to run from the river and go and fall in the sea. It is not normal. Where else do we go? Cry, beloved country, Alan Patton.
Okay. How do we explain this situation, and how do people survive? Because I can imagine where these guys were living, on hills, with those guys.
Isolated environment.
Yes. How do you survive in a situation like that?
It is a very difficult situation, especially for those who are in the restive region, because it's very hard to explain. If you go left, they tag you that you are a black leg. You go right, you are a collaborator. You go center, you are supposed to take a stand. You go behind, why are you going behind? So at the bottom of the day, how these people survive, it takes the grace of God Allah, Brahma, depending on who they believe in, because the reality is kind of very troubling. And it is sad to see that when this incident occurred, some people were quick to come up with justification. Some were saying that, you know, the military to also carry out incident like this. And I asked a question that we are talking about the Gidado. What does that have to do with the military? Gidado occurred and was carried out by the armed separatist fighters. Can we stay on the topic on that? Some come and tell you, no. You know, you are talking like that. What of this one that was done by the military? What of this one that was done? The issue is Gidado. And nowhere that we have condemned or we have not condemned any attack. Dr. Michael Ndimancu, on the 14th of February when it occurred, we all were here. We condemned it with a strongest of terms. The truth here, Mr. Leo, is that people who are supporting this conflict are being unrealistic. Those who are supporting the armed fighters, those die-hearted people, if they are on social media, are either people who are living behind fake profiles, or those who are showing their faces are those who are not living the realities on the ground. Because anybody living the realities on the ground will have a different way of analyzing. Or those who have been in Douala, have nothing to do in the north and southwest, are the ones who are having a contrary view to say that, oh, why are you not condemning this? Why are you not condemning this? Let us be honest. On the 14th of January, the 2-year-old child did no crime. But the 2-year-old child was killed. Women, the elderly. Now, these are the same people who say that we must respect the Geneva Convention. These are the same people who say that, oh, the Geneva Convention must stand. These are the same people who are saying that we should respect Constitution 1608 because it is the international law. We have been reminded by some of these armed fighters that they don't belong to Cameroon, they belong to a nation, and now for now the laws that govern them are international laws. Now, why do you abrogate international laws, which the international law says that you must respect women and children? Remember that during a conflict, if Dr. Ndimancu is a military person and he sees an armed fighter and the armed fighter drops the gun down and surrender, by international law, Dr. Ndimancu has no right to kill the armed fighter, because at that moment the armed fighter becomes an unarmed civilian. He's arrested and the law takes proceedings. The same way it plays out that if an armed fighter meets a military officer and the military officer drops the gun and surrenders, you have the right not to kill that military man but to arrest him, because it is called the right to life under the Geneva Convention. Now, to this extent, when you go and kill a civilian, it is called war crime. But when you kill the vulnerable are those, the women, the children, the elderly, the frail, those who cannot run. It's called crime against humanity. So there is a war crime which you also destroyed, and there's a crime against humanity. And the question we should be asking ourselves is, at what end? To any one person you killed as blackleg, you have generated 5 new blacklegs in those families that you have killed. And some people are saying that no, it's because earlier the military killed 10 Amber fighters, and because the military killed 10 Amber fighters, these people were the ones that collaborated. It is wrong. Did the 2-year-old child also collaborate? Did that woman, the elderly woman, also collaborate? The elderly men in their 70s, some lying in their bed, did they also collaborate? Even if they collaborated, what happened? There's what called momentum before collision and momentum after collision. To every action, there's an equal but opposite reaction. What was the role that you guys were playing in that community that wanted the people to collaborate? Remember, Dr. Ndimancu, when this crisis started in late 2018, the people used to call the armed fighters our boys. Why? Because there was civil and military cooperation. Because an armed fighter can only win in a community when the people collaborate with you. And that's why it was difficult for the government soldiers to penetrate the camps of the armed fighters in late 2018. Because the people were shielded, the people were protecting them, and that's why when you pass in the market, the people holler, "Oh, our boys!" And there was a word that they used to use there; they would call them soldier. That to a certain level that it angered military men. Military men would say, "You call those people soldiers, and you call us ekelebe." That was even in the early 2018. Now we fast forward, we move to 2020. kidnapping became the order of the day. It started changing the status quo to the late 2019 to the boys, to those voices. And that was how you saw General Ivo was killed. A lot of these Amba fighters now started dying. The military gained control because the people now moved from the civil and military cooperation with the people that they thought were protecting them back to the forces that came and is instead protecting them. Now you move to late 2023, it has become worse. Instead of those voices, the people have changed the word more of terrorism. If you look at the trajectory, it moves now more of terrorism. Why? Because it's not only kidnapping of those who you consider as blackleg, but now you have imposed fine for those who come to bury their loved ones. Now you have imposed fine for those who want to bury people in their own village. As somebody dies in a compound, you say for that person to be buried, the person must pay in the contribution in the armed fighting movement in that same village. How do you expect that person, the family, to grieve with you? Somebody's at grief, you are telling the person to give you 20,000. Another issue is that the issue that you move around, intimidating people that they must give a contribution, in this level it moves now to terrorism. And now to worst case scenario, the situation where you see that women, mothers and children are being kidnapped and tell their brothers in Europe call they should send money. And that moves now to terrorism. And that's why you see cooperation now between the people and the armed fighters has dropped to the lowest level. And for a military to win the war, no matter how powerful a military is, you need collaboration with the people, which is called civil and military cooperation. It's a concept which is being taught to defense and security forces. It's a concept which is being taught to security personnel. That's why you see when this tragedy occurred, you have seen that there have been a high attack on armed fighters. And now, will you blame the people? The people are clear. Somebody told me that if I see the armed fighters coming left, I see military coming right, I will rush to the military because accountability can come with the military. And we saw in the Gabon incident. We just play out. We saw in the Gabon incident. So when people come and justify, oh, it's because of this, it's because, how do you justify murder? How do you justify the fact that a 2-year, who were pulling that trigger, as you were pulling that trigger of that 2-year-old child? What conscience, what was appealing to you? That 2-year-old child, that mother.
No. How can early warning systems be strengthened in vulnerable communities? Early warning systems, because as we speak, these rural communities who are living on hills. So how do you coordinate, organize yourselves to be able to alert yourselves, or alert either the authorities or some community group that there is danger?
Mr. Liu, maybe before I get to your question, I want to say that it was a sad one for the people of Dongamanton, because amongst the 14 people who died, Alaji Tatido lost 7 people. The mother, 2 wives, and 5 children. An individual lost 7 children. And the mayor of Ndu described it as a genocide. It is unheard of that you get up as early as 5 a.m. and you go and gun down 14 individuals. Like Dr. Ndimancu said and Javi said, what is the crime of a 2-year-old child? And what would be the crime of a 70-year-old mother? At 70, that mother had nothing. This same man whose 7 children were killed, Mr. Liu, died from the same amber shot. He had sustained injury and he was living with the wounds until he died. You come back now and wipe 7 of his children. He's still called the boys. I think that, Mr. Liu, for the community to
organize
themselves, the first thing is, when I look at what is happening or what happened in Gidado, Mr. Liu, permit me say that it is something Ndu has been on the spotlight negatively, because weeks back, a village in Ndu called Wuwu village, 2 Mbororo's were killed. The same Bororo people went and told the chief of that village that since they have killed our brothers, we are coming back to attack. And days later, something happened. Now I feel that what is happening in Ndu, what should be done, to me, Mr. Liu, first of all, is to engage community dialogue. Nobody within a community is a stranger. this community has a mayor. This community has a parliamentarian. This community has a DO. Has a chief. The Mbororos in this community has an Ardo. And those who are doing this, because, Mr. Lo, when we look at what is happening or what happened in Gidado, I am rather looking at what may be happening in the days ahead. The Mbororos may want to get their pound of flesh. They will not want to believe that, because the mayor was very emphatic in his communique. He did not say armed men. He said Ambazonia. He said they were killed by Ambazonia. That's the mayor. Now, the Mbororos too now may want to come back and attack. And you see that it's a kind of a continuity. What I feel, Mr. Leo, is the community does not even need to be on alert. It's just an issue of the community sitting and saying, okay, who is this enemy within us? How do we flush out the enemy? The Ardo is there, the chiefs are there, the mayor is there, the parliamentarian is there. They sit and want to build more their frontiers so that nobody comes in. Mr. Leo, the MP for Akom Misaje subdivision, Abe Micheal, lost his life on this same stretch of road. Andu is the same people. And I feel that, I think I was saying it somewhere, that those within these communities know the truth. Mr. Leo, Javid said something which I want to reiterate. In the early 2016s, I saw the community support the fighters. They saw guys who had an ideology. They saw people who had a vision. They saw people who were fighting for their liberation, in quotes. That's not the guys we have in 2026. We have people, when you have lost your father or your mother, you need to pay development fee. Once you're building a house in your village, you need to contribute to them. Once you go to your village and you want to come back, you need to be hiding. I think that this is not the idea. Mr. Leo, how do you explain that people go and kill the Muslim and end up taking away cattle? You burn houses, you burn vehicles, you kill some cattle and you carry some. I think, Mr. Leo, that the community does not even need to be on alert. I listened to the governor of the Northwest region, Adolphe Lille-Afrique, on the national station, the CRTV, and he said measures are being put in place to track them. Mr. Leo, once there are some of these killings are always repercussion. The innocent civilian may even be tracked in this thing. It is just an issue of the community sitting, Mr. Leo. We, the Mbororo community, the Christian community, should sit. Who is this enemy within us? And from my findings, Mr. Leo, I discovered that a majority of those who hit in this area come from somewhere. I will not call where they come from, but they come somewhere, they come and hit and go back. What do? We block the frontiers because these people come in. How do we do it? The Ardo seat, the chief seat, the mayor, the MP. Who is this person who always comes and hits and runs away? Mr. Leo, when I was in the Northwest region, precisely in Misaje, when we were coming back, I think the driver had to drop a parcel in Ndu. All the passengers were agitating. They told the driver, "Will not go up to 2 minutes. Well, because Ndu has been a group of guys who come to Ndu, they come and hit and go back. The same people attacked in Sop, which is still in Ndu, in Borom, which is still in Ndu, in Far, which is still in Ndu, in Bandok, which is still in Ndu. Donga Mantuna has 5 subdivisions, Mr. Leo. Misaje subdivision, Nwa subdivision, Ako subdivision, Kambe Central, Andu. We should be asking ourselves, why we are not hearing the same stories in Misaje? Why we are not hearing the same stories in Ako? Why we are not hearing the same stories in Kambe? Why Ndu? I just feel that it's a kind of a conflict between brothers. And that if the brothers sit and tell themselves the truth, they will solve the conflict, Mr. Leo. It is not an issue of alerting a person. It's not even an issue of sending the military there. It is an issue of sitting and telling themselves the truth. Who is this enemy within us? Who is taking advantage of the conflict between us? Because, Mr. Leo, there has been a kind of hitting between the Mbororo community and the village people of that land. All of them are one. The Mbororo man is a man of that land. The Ndu man is a man of that land. What do we do? How do we stop this? All we need to do is strategize and come as one man.
Yes, how do we end this so that in the days and months ahead we don't come again here to discuss about other killings?
Thank you. We want to regret the carnage that was carried out in Ndu. Especially, it was actually the coldest thing we are getting to work with. We are getting to live with it in 2026, and I think that there are various ways we have to do to mitigate such things from happening again. And the first thing is justice for the people, justice for the bereaved families, those who committed these atrocities. We are imploring the head of state, the Cameroon government, to make sure to bring these people to justice. And at the same time, we are telling them they have two options. The Cameroon people are telling them they have two options. You either come, drop your weapons, and take the olive branch of the DDR, or you wait for force to be taken. Because at all levels, at all means, the people who committed the carnage, the gruesome killing, they shall be taken into, they shall be brought to book. The governor of the Northwest said it. Investigations are going on, and it is very, very bad to think that we are the ones, like Prince is saying, we are the ones killing ourselves. Why have we gone to that level where human life is not worthy again? Then another thing I want to say here, want to advise, I will be talking to the government particularly. The government should increase the security, please. Continue doing everything to increase the security, because the protection of life is nonsense. Look at those people who are killed. When you watch the video, you sit crying on endless. What has that child done? What has that mother, old man, what has he done? An innocent person dying for no good cause. What was the cause of fighting? You kill, you should have come and taken all the animals and allow human life. Have we reduced life to the barest thing that has no worth? And I think that the government should enable this. It is the role and responsibility of the government to protect, guide the citizens. Then the third thing I'm going to say is that the government should be proactive. We have seen videos, we have listened to videos online where the various plans were already being made to come and attack. And had it been the government or the security forces and the community in place were collaborative, we should have avoided this particular carnage, this particular massacre would have happened. And that is why we are encouraging that the community, our various communities in North and South, please, this is part of the dialogue. We see it, the head of state have already implemented it. The dialogue should be at all levels, which means that you don't need a particular person from Yaoundé to tell you to go and dialogue with any other person. Dialoguing means here, at this particular point, dialoguing means if you think that your son, if you are a parent, you think that your son is carrying a gun or is in the bush, and without your consent, without you being in support, it is very simple to go and see a chief. If you cannot see a chief, see the mayor. You cannot see the mayor, see the company commander. You cannot see the company, see the Joe, and say, okay, this is my son, I would like you people to go. Once you already declare, that's the beginning of dialogue. They will look for means. They will go with you, talk with you on how to get him out of the bush. And I think we should follow the example of other nations. We cannot continue dying Cameroonian. This is something that we are just beginning another year, when the president say a year of hope and experience, a year of hope and aspirations, but we are beginning a year of hope with death, the killing of innocent citizens. It is unheard of. Please, we need to actually abandon it. We need to make sure that this particular thing should not happen. And we are equally telling the government of Cameroon, please, it's very important you look at the situations of security in our various municipalities, because we don't know. We can be talking here why the people there are still planning another one. Imagine now that if the Mororo community decide, okay, they identify those who killed them, and they decide, okay, they are going to revenge on the various families. We are going to go from worse to worse situations, and this is what we do not want to. And now, when it comes to community dialogue, we are going to say it time and again, time without numbers. Dialoguing, we are the first solution provider to this problem.
Okay, we are almost out of time. President Paul Biya has been talking about community dialogue. He said that twice, but till date nothing is happening. What are the elites waiting for? They want a commission for community dialogue to be created, funds are disbursed so that they can engage, or what? Can initiatives not be taken during campaigns for presidential elections? We see community members gather themselves to raise money. What are we waiting for now?
You know that when
high instructions to be given?
You know, when President Paul Biya makes that kind of speech, he forms a commission. So they are waiting for commissions, because those commissions go with allowances. If he doesn't form the commissions, no allowance, nothing will be done. So don't expect anything.
At times when the president just announced that he was going to run for election, we saw people who gathered themselves,
of course,
to raise money.
Yeah, because they want to show their images to the president of the republic that they are for him and they are working for him. You see, we are talking about some of these things. Cameroon may not change anytime soon, because look at now, we just launched a new budget, and now ministers will start spending, especially those who think that they will not be in a new government. They can decide to make commands in the next 6 months and spend the new budget, so that the next person who is coming sees an empty cover. So it is an issue in Cameroon where we wait the head of state. The head of state gives the example. When it is good, it is him, and when it is bad, it is you down there. So I think until commissions are formed in the local level, maybe I'm waiting for one for Noni, maybe I'll be in that commission, so that we'll be able to organize dialogues among the people. Because we do not take initiatives. Initiatives in Cameroon, if it is not backed by the ability to pay for something, you do not accept the initiative. We do not know about volunteerism in Cameroon, and that is the way we have been taught to grow. Of course, that when you are a fonctionnaire in the especially, because most of these people he is looking up to, they take themselves as fonctionnaire. I like to call the name fonctionnaire in French, because it looks much more serious. When it comes to say civil servant is just a small boy down there. But the French appellation fonctionnaire really gives you the way. Have you gone to an office in Yaoundé where there are fonctionnaires? And somebody there was somebody who told me that in a university here in Douala that ce que je dis là, même le recteur ne peut pas changer. I said, quoi, madame? Douala. That is how it happens. It happened. He told me. Somebody told me that already. Yes. Somebody told me that what he says, even the rector cannot change. I said, this is our country. That is how it is. I had to quarrel with that woman in the office and I left. So that is how the initiative in Cameroon, things are done, waiting for the head of state to give an order. And I'm asking myself, now you see now what we are talking about Gidado. Are we waiting for the head of state to be able to organize? Even the Prince talked about the community coming together to dialogue. It is important for local dialogue, because there is no dialogue even through the whole of French army there in that community. They will not do anything until there is the civil or the community collaboration before you ever do anything. And that is why Judge Ruth will say, we will not distinguish between the terrorists and those who harbor them. Exactly. This is what happens. If you distinguish between the terrorists and those who harbor them, you have finished the community. Do not distinguish the two. The two should be one. Punish all of them the same way. If you discover that these people who are harboring terrorists in their community, take those people harboring them and take the terrorists the same way. This is how you strike it and strike the balance. And it's only then that when people are taught initiative, the hard way, that they will be able to do that. When the president makes that speech like this, they will translate it to concrete action, they incarnate it and make it after a movable, livable, workable issue in a community in which they live. Mr. Kum.
Okay. And yes, community dialogue. What are we waiting for? For high instructions?
I think we already had community dialogue in the presidential election. We saw it from the results. The result proved that there was community dialogue, because at the end of the day, we saw how they came together and mobilized money. Mr. Kum, you saw there are communities that raised...
No. The president made this recommendation after the election.
After the election. No,
yes.
I'm just saying that in terms of initiative,
okay,
like Dr. Ndimancu said that we don't take initiative. Doctor, we take initiative. We do take initiative, doctor. In Douala, 100 and something million was raised in a locality that don't have a road to their community. We take initiative. We took an initiative where youth contributed huge sums of money in the north and southwest to pay for the presidential ticket. We take initiative. The head of state did not ask them to take initiative. Now, when it comes to dialogue, on this communal dialogue and the community dialogue, how do we expect people who most of the times have mobile offices in Yaoundé, spend the rest of their time in Yaoundé, to come and engage the people in community dialogue? The truth here is, how do these people go back to their villages? They go with armored cars. During the presidential election, how many of them went to their villages? How was the condition under which they went to their villages? Realities are there. Community dialogue can come within the community itself, not from elite. And I'll say this and I'll say it again, that community dialogue starts when you pick somebody in Munya who has been in Munya for long, for the person to lead that dialogue. Because the person knows the pain of the people. The person knows that in your community, somebody can just come and stand on your door like that and just leave. The next moment something happens, and they are used to that, they know. So when they no change, they witness change, they may say, hey, bro, be careful, oh, be careful. But someone who lives Douala or who lives in Boya and spend most of his time in Douala goes back to Boya to have a community dialogue, that dialogue is doomed to fail. What me I'm appealing here is that to get this community dialogue functioning, the municipal councillors, the mayors in these localities who are still in their communities should lead this dialogue, because they are the ones that carry out local development in their community. The regional council, we have the president of the regional assembly across the northwest and southwest region. They are the ones who lead this community dialogue without the head of state creating a commission, because they are the ones that live the reality. The governors of the regions who live the reality, who, when something happened here, for example, Governor Lele Afrique was in Bamenda, went to the scene of the Gidado. These are the people who should lead this community dialogue, because they are on the ground. And how should it be? Each locality pick 10 people. 10 people of those localities. Keep away the elite. These people can best tell you how we can resolve it, because they live the day-to-day reality. They know that if you get up in the morning, you see a man walking street 1, 2, 3 times, don't go out. They know. But you and I, you see a man walking 1, 2, 3, you may not know. So this community dialogue, to me, in all fairness, why they are waiting for the head of state, like Dr. Ndimancu said, that some are waiting for budget. That tells you that our interest is not on the suffering masses, and so since the interest is not on the suffering masses, the local people there should take the engagement themselves. And that's why I'm appealing that mayors, please engage your people.
Yeah, because most of the decisions that were taken against Africa food, reference was taken from the end of year address by the President of the Republic. The President of the Republic makes an address, and everybody infers, makes meaning out of it, that because he raised it, so we are taking action. So the President of the Republic has talked about community dialogue twice.
Yes.
And no action is happening. Anyway, we're going to move this discussion forward in our subsequent editions of our Prime Hour. We have to end at this juncture. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kum, and a special good evening to all those of you who watch us, and especially to the President of FECAFOOT. Good evening to you.
Okay, thank you for coming, Dr. Micheal.
It's a pleasure, Mr. Kum, and I would like to encourage the youth growth and development in Cameroon. Yeah, like the young man, Emmanuel Woody. Of course, I encourage you to get going. We need to take initiatives, truly initiative, and the youth too need to take initiative. We're living in the world of the youth. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Okay, we also want to thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Kum. I want to let me just add something. One sentence. The community dialogue, the head of state already given the go ahead for any community. You are free to organize the dialogue. All the communities in Cameroon, you are free to organize your dialogue and have it as it convenience you. Thank you for dear listeners. Thank you, Mr. Kum, for having me today. It's been a pleasure, and I want to extend special greetings to the fun of Nonis, the fans of Noni who are listening. I have special connections with the fans because I'm a traditional man and I like to always recognize they are the spiritual fathers.
Okay, we are greeting all the fans of the Northwest regions, all the chiefs of the Southwest regions, and all the traditional rulers across Cameroon. We greet you all. Thank you for coming.
It's always a privilege to be on my media prime, Mr. Kum Leonard. Special giving to all those who took time to watch. And of course, to the peace-loving people of Misaji subdivision, to its illustrious son, Professor Fukalistus Gentry.
Yeah, so you were talking about the funds?
Of course, as a royal blood, I acknowledge all the funds because they are the custodians of our tradition, and I always respect them. And I want to say that what happened, or what happened in Du, Mr. Kum Leonard, I'm very sure that the funds, yes, the funds of that land should be able to come out and do something, because I've seen it work in Misaji. Yes, yes. The funds of my land meet every Thursday to strategize. Each of the funds, the 12 villages that make up Misaji, they always meet to give like reports. This is how my land is, this is. I think that if the funds of Ndu, just like in other areas, come together, what happened in Ndu will not happen again.
Okay, we end with this note. Our condolences to El Haj Lawan Baku, the president of, I'm sure it's UDP party, based in Bamenda. Already this transition to glory with heavy hearts, yet in total submission to the will of God. We announce the transition to glory of our beloved wife, mother, grandmother, sister, cousin, auntie, and friend, Nachong Renata Bako. She was born 27th of April 1964, died 28th of December 2025. Funeral program Thursday, January 22nd, 2026. 2 p.m. wake up without cups, family house, Chest Street, Bamenda. Friday, January 23rd, 2026, 10 a.m. Removal of the mortal remains, St. Bless Mortuary, Bamenda. 11 a.m. church service, Big Mancon Cathedral, Bamenda. 1 p.m. viewing of mortal remains, followed by private burial, ceremony by family members. Okay, only. So our condolences to the family. We want to thank you all for watching, especially to the production team led by Eli. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.